Okay. Hello and welcome to my literature review on pre-stretching's effect on power and force. Stretching before exercise activity has become very popular as it increases the range of motion about the joint and is an effective way to counteract muscle soreness. Although this may be the case, the idea of stretching has been questioned over the last decade as more and more studies suggest that it does not reduce injury. Previous evidence has suggested stretching exercises promotes negative effects on muscle torque and power output. So as you can see, there's two very strong point of views on this topic, which will be discussed throughout the review. The purpose of this review is to understand what the general census is when discussing pre-stretching and its effect on force and power. Not just any pre-stretching, but the antagonist muscle, as it may be an effective way of isolating the agonist muscle. Moving on to the methods used in reviewing this literature, the databases that we used to assist in the research of the literature were predominantly PubMed and Google Scholar. Both of these search engines are very reliable and provide a range of journal articles towards the topic. As there is plenty of studies done on pre-stretching, it became the main search term. When comparing pre-stretching to force and power, the search results became more specific and gave a better understanding on how pre-stretching affected individuals' performance. Trying to incorporate antagonist stretching into the criteria did not prove very successful, as there has not been a great deal of studies undertaken for this category. A number of studies provided information that gave different views on the topic. To help with keeping the review unbiased, a minimum of 5 journal articles were taken from each side, as in 5 that backed pre-stretching and 5 that didn't believe it to be very important. A previous study by Miranda et al. Proposed that antagonist static stretching will increase the repetition performance of the agonist muscle in an acute manner. Another study by Mathias et al. Suggests that stretching for a 60-second period compared to a 30-second period before performing a vertical jump can improve the power output of an individual. Both of these studies support pre-stretching before performing a task, which suggests that it can have a positive impact on force and power. Some studies, on the other hand, found that pre-stretching before exercise is quite useless. A study by Anderson J.C. states that pre-exercise stretching had very little effect on muscle soreness, and lower extremity stretching did not prevent injury risk in Army recruits undergoing military training. This is where the topic becomes quite broad, as the studies done on stretching are not always specifically for performance outcomes, but to prevent injuries and help recovery. Stretching would be much more beneficial at the end of exercise in this situation. Moving on to the discussion, it is clear that this is a very controversial topic and there is evidence that backs both sides of the findings. The studies used in this review are quite different in their own way, but give an understanding as to when pre-stretching can be useful and when probably won't have any effect at all. When considering pre-stretching before an exercise, CIMIC recommends that it should be avoided as it does not improve performance at all. Studies have found that using static stretching post-exercise is much more beneficial when being used in non-explosive or a sport that's not solely based around power. If pre-stretching is being used for a sport such as powerlifting or any other sport that requires extreme measures of force, then it can improve performance, but not to a great effect. It can be concluded that this literature is very interesting and there is plenty of diverse views and evidence towards pre-stretching and its effect on an athlete's performance. Perhaps more research needs to be conducted on more specific circumstances, as it may narrow down when and where pre-stretching can be useful. Also, specific sports may benefit more than others, such as stretching certain muscles around a joint and using them immediately instead of letting the muscle relax again before engaging them. Just an idea as I bring this review to a close. Thank you for listening.